No, somebody's beat you to it.
It was chairman Martin Edwards. November 1986, and the difference between an autograph and a signature was of vast significance to Fergie. Leaving Aberdeen was a wrench.
When I came to the club, the priority was to win the championship. This was something that was a holy grail.
He's one of the best. He's got to be. All you've got to do is look at his record. I mean, he came here and we were on the fringe of things. We hadn't won anything for a few years, and he's turned it all around. And you look over the last four years, and there's maybe only Arsenal who stands up to compare against us.
It gives great satisfaction and great comfort to the people who worked so hard over these last few years that we were on the right way, and also that all the plans we did put in place have come to fruition.
Fergie was appointed on the same day Ron Atkinson was sacked. Atkinson's chief legacy was the man who turned out to be the cornerstone and inspiration of the dream team, Bryan Robson. Fergie couldn't have wished for a better lieutenant.
Ron Atkinson had his players in, and they played open attacking football. Now, Alex Ferguson come in, and he wanted quite a few of his own players in, but he did it in a gradual way where he brought players in and then he eased players out. And then he got a certain standard of discipline into the team, which he's always believed in.
The discipline and standards Fergie was slowly and surely beginning to instil at Old Trafford was mirrored by the attributes of one of football's finest ever captains.
Now Davis just playing it back for Robson! Princess Michael of Kent's, and the cup goes back to the north.
The thing that's made Robson is his timing. You know, some people can turn up at the right time, at the right place at the right time, in life and anything. But you see two players going up for a ball and it's dropping. Robson will be the one at times the best. He'll be there as it's falling on the ground. When the ball's come off a goalkeeper's body in the box, it'll be Robson that'll be there at the right time, you know?
If Robson wasn't in the side, United suffered through his lack of drive. Fergie, now wishing him well at Middlesbrough, realised one missing link shouldn't make such an almighty difference.
Well, for about the last 15 years I've had it where you more or less know you're going to be playing every week unless you have a disastrous run with your form. So the last couple of years has been quite odd, because after having 15 years of where you were an automatic choice, all of a sudden you're not.
Bryan Robson carried the torch for our club for the 10 years he was at the club before we won the championship. Every false hope we had, or every false dawn we had, was all centred around Bryan Robson being the club. He was the one who's always going to lead us to a championship.
Their league form had not been good enough for years. When Fergie took over, they were in a perilous state. United finished about halfway, having used 23 players.
At the end of that first season, and I said to the chairman, I think you need 8, 9 players, really. And this is, bloody hell.
Very much at the heart of it all. Now McGee, here's McClair. He's touched it past Woods. Ryan McClair makes it 1-0 to Celtic.
Up until the signing of a certain Frenchman with a swaggering Gallic style and temperament, Fergie rated his first signing, Bryan McClair of Celtic blood, as his best.
I suppose he could have chosen anyone provincially throughout Europe to come and play for United. And he picked me, and I've never forgotten that. And hopefully now, after 7 years, it paid him back.
All the things I'd heard about him, you know, matched up. He was a straightforward person, because he was a family man, intelligent, good character, and he's turned out what a fantastic signing for the club.
Gibson again, and it's there by McClair.
In his first season, McClair became the first United player since George Best to top 20 league goals in a season, although it's not been enough to preserve a striking role in subsequent years.
He's flitted about in several positions, and possibly now his best position is really centre midfield. I play him wide right, I played him wide left, I played him centre midfield, I played him right side in centre midfield, I played him up front, and he never complains and gets on with the job. I think that's his adaptability and unselfish attitude has been his hallmark.
In other words, McClair's a pro's pro. The manager takes merciless, good-humoured flack in the dressing room for the way he looks after his adopted son. McClair was ever present last season, but the arrival of Roy Keane has limited his appearances.
Finds McClair! Sealed it!
It's frustrating. I mean, nobody can know what it's like because they've never been in the position. I mean, it's very difficult for me to put into words how exactly it is. So, I mean, I'll just have to say it's frustrating with sum up at the moment.
It was 1989 when Ferguson truly revealed his ruthless streak. Players like Norman Whiteside, who couldn't live up to his own high standards of discipline, had to go. Paul McGrath was another. They weren't popular decisions with the fans.
A lot of the supporters were disappointed. A lot of them were angry. I remember countless letters about it. But at the end of the day, you stand and fall by your decisions. I think management's about decisions. I think it's about being positive about decisions. People recognise positive behaviour in managers. I think they look for it. And I think the players then sat up and says, well, he does mean business.
Steve Bruce was great business. Fergie signed a captain in the making, a constant and natural communicator.
The sort of... You better take that call, Steve.
Hello.
And that was genuinely the thumbs-up call for United, because Gary Pallister and Terry Butcher were proving hard to get.
It took a little bit of time, though. The transfer haggled on a bit, but as I said at the time, I would have crawled here. And I think I was about 10th on the list, I think. I think he got the knockback on about 10 occasions, so I'm delighted he did, obviously.
In the absence of Bryan Robson, Bruce became his natural successor, captain reliable. His 2 late goals against Sheffield Wednesday the previous season summed up his resolute, never-say-die attitude.
He's got enthusiasm, he's got the leadership qualities, he's got the personality, he's got the manner in which to handle himself in the right situations, and he wouldn't let the club down. To present himself for the club as a captain who has to at times, the same as Bryan Robson, articulate and well-mannered, is ideal.
Occasionally, and only occasionally, when there's a breakdown in communications, it usually involves goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel, a fiery character.
I think he thinks he's the first one to pick on. One day I'm really going to lose my temper, and I'll probably regret it, I think.
I think Steve and me have the same temper. He needs to get himself like at the top level, going at the top level. He needs to shout as well, and he shouts back at me.
They've got to have an argument every morning, every game, maybe 2 or 3, and you can't believe they got on so well together, neighbours. They live next door to each other. God, I'd love to see them at dinner together. The wives must be driven mad.
Oh, boy.
The search for the Holy Grail had to be inspired by Liverpool. So why not emulate the standard bearers, arch rivals or not?
Their strength obviously lay in buying the best players at the right time. We, in a similar way, have bought the best players we feel at the right time.
Mark Hughes is Manchester United through and through, a star pupil of the club's increasingly productive youth academy. He didn't really want to go to Barcelona in 1986, returning via Bayern Munich 2 years later.
When I came back, there was a lot more discipline in the club, and that was probably a good thing. And the atmosphere was a lot more professional, I felt, and it was geared to winning things, really, and that was the reason, one of the main reasons I came back.
Hughes has struck up the type of rapport with United's fans that Dennis Law enjoyed in the 60s. Law was known as the king. Hughes just Hughesy, but his goals are if by royal appointment.
Hughes with a bicycle kick, it's there!
Well, I think he embodies the spirit of the United. You know, really his enthusiasm for it. He never stops trying, Mark Hughes. Good control. I think that as he gets older, he's learned the part of, and particularly since Cantona come about, reading the line. He's always been individual, Mark. I mean, individual goals have always been different. Not known for tap-ins, but known for his incredible volleys and games out of nothing, goals out of nothing. And then another thing that always strikes me with Mark Hughes, he does well in the big games.
Hughes onside. There's a chance for another one here. Maybe not now. Yes, there is!
It's a fantastic goal by Hughes.
His club nickname is Sparky. It could have something to do with having a short fuse. At times, this mild-mannered man from North Wales can't control his temper. Fergie's very philosophical about it.
Mark's such a quiet person. He comes in, he's last in, first out. Family life seems to be very, very important to Mark. This is why he's always spends a lot of time in Wales, and yet his personality in the football field. I always say you can't leave your character in the dressing room, you take it on the football field with you. But yet with Mark, it's two different personalities.
I think on the pitch, maybe I can express myself a little bit better than I can off the pitch, as you're finding out now. It's just one of the things. I mean, when you go out there and there's 40,000 there, and it does something to you as a player. Sometimes some players can hide from it. I just soak it up like a sponge, and I enjoy it.
The turning point, or the moment of truth if you like, was when United were knocked out of the FA Cup by Nottingham Forest in the 6th round in 1989. They just weren't up to it. With Fergie under fire, Gordon Strachan waved goodbye to Old Trafford.
The remainder of the season was about getting it over with and starting anew in the next season. Getting the players I wanted, changing the club round, get a fresh approach to it, players who were young enough to accept a few challenges. And then, as I said, I just couldn't wait till the season was finished.
Gary Pallister got the taste of championship success at Middlesbrough. OK, it was down the divisions, but Fergie had spotted his potential.
I went to see him play against Rochdale for Middlesbrough. Now, a typical Rochdale night, peeing down in a wee cup tie, and I said, there's a Hansen. I mean, he's big, tall, slim lad, and quick in his feet, and good pass of the ball, could head it.
It did put extra pressure on me because everybody was expecting great things from the start. The gaffer had completely rebuilt the team. There was about 4, 5, 6 signs that come in during the summer, and it was going to take a long time to for everything to gel, which it did. But obviously, being the most expensive, obviously I was highlighted a bit more than the rest of the players.
He's unbelievable pace, you know. He's the quickest in the club, you know. When he gets going, those big legs, he covers the ground all right. So you knew you had the raw material. What you had to do is bring all the parts together. And it was a physical one, no question about that. Even the stamina had to be built up and developed. And now you see, I think, in a couple of years' time, you'll see a really tremendous player.
Pallister and Steve Bruce have developed an awesome partnership, but alas for Steve.
It's like a graveyard here in International Week, with all the different lads away playing for their countries.
Great honour for the club though, isn't it?
Yeah, Giggsy for Wales.
Dennis with the Irish.
Kanchelskis with Russia.
Schmeichel off with Denmark.
You off with England.
You go shopping with a wife.
They certainly have contrasting styles. Bruce's up-and-atom approach, Pallister appearing more casual. Nice and easy does it all the time.
Well, he reckons I could probably take a bet out onto the pitch. I look that laid back and that, you know. I think it's just the way, it's my style. People have different styles, you know, and that's mine. I look casual or whatever, but I can quite assure you I'm not.
An unquenchable thirst for success. But Fergie does have one concern about Pallister.
I went to a dinner and I says, if you want, I'll drive you in Chalky and I'll pick you up, because we all live in Winslow, you know. So I went round. He said, come in, Gaffer, and you come. So I come into his lounge and there's this big, giant Coca-Cola bottle. This big thing. This big packet of crisps that size. And 4 Mars bars, man. I says, I thought I told you I'd fine you if I seen you bloody eating. And he's upstairs getting ready. I was shouting up the... He says, they're not mine. They're not mine. I don't know who's left in there.
As a youngster with West Ham, Paul Ince had the reputation of being something of a wild child. But knocking a chip or two off someone's shoulders or polishing a rough-cut diamond has never worried Fergie.
He's certainly got great feet. He's quick. He's competitive. He's good in the air. All the parts were there, Paul. But not a consistent nature of his game was there. You understand? You couldn't actually see what kind of midfield.